Let's move on to the 5 takeaways to see what 5 things we can take away from the 2-2 draw at Goodison Park yesterday. And the first one, as we've spoken about a lot during this stream, is late vulnerability.
Yeah, and obviously we did concede that late goal yesterday, which was really, really frustrating, especially as how we kind of ceded control late in the game. And in fact, the goal we conceded yesterday was our 8th goal we have conceded, which has been over 90 minutes, which is more than any other side in the whole Premier League this season. And it's also there's more times that Spurs have conceded a last-minute goal. We've conceded now more last-minute goals than in any other campaign already, halfway through the campaign. So that goes to show how vulnerable we are late on in games.
Yeah, and it's a really frustrating sign, to be honest, because after all the good work and hard work we're putting in games, we're just conceding too many late goals. And what's that? The most for how long?
Ever. The most goals we conceded in the 90th minute and over ever in a season.
That's mad, because a couple of years ago, what was it, under Jose? Under Jose? We just kept conceding in the 90th minute, and it just seemed like every week at that point.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's more than that already, halfway through a season.
Although what I would caveat that stat is only the Wolves game and this game did those last-minute goals actually affect the result. Because we conceded 2 against Chelsea, which we were already 2-1 down.
2 against Wolves.
2 against. No, I'm saying Wolves. We conceded 1 against Palace, which obviously didn't affect the result. So we have conceded a few. I think it was 1 against Newcastle, already 4-0 up. So we have conceded a lot of late goals, but only in this game did it actually affect the result.
As you said earlier on in the stream, there has been moments in games against Burnley late on where that would have affected the game if they don't have a terrible miss at the end, and also Manchester United. I can't remember who. I think McTominay. Free header in the box, and that would have gone on to us losing the game.
Definitely a pattern, that's for sure. It's definitely a pattern with our late vulnerability.
Let's move on to number 2, following the same theme: can't hold leads.
Yes, this is more about dropped points from winning positions, which again happened yesterday. Obviously, you've got to remember back in that run where we didn't go. I think we lost 4 and drew 1 out of 5 games. We took the lead in all those games, right? And we didn't end up winning any of them. And in fact, Spurs have now dropped 18 points from winning positions this season, which is more than any other team in the league this season. It just goes to show that I don't know what it is, but I think it's maybe a game management thing, but it's a weird one. Sometimes we start badly and we grow into the game. Sometimes we start really well, but then we seem to see control of the game. Obviously, we're still very early on in Ange's project, so it's always going to be we're not going to be this well-functioning machine just yet. And there are definitely signs that we're getting really good. And the fact we're in 5th is great, but 18 points for winning positions is a clear indication that we struggle in those moments when we're in the lead to just really control the game.
Yeah, and we're struggling when teams coming to press us and really trying to dominate us physically. We struggle in these kind of games, and we need to find a way just to be able to see out games at the end. And it's really frustrating, to be honest, and I'm not really sure what I put my finger down on it. I think the stat is as well, like this season we haven't lost when Romero and Van de Ven have been together at the back, which is impressive, but we got to be able to hold on to these leads, don't we?
Yeah, I think it will come. People just forget how early we are on in Postecoglou's tenure, so I'm not too downhearted about it. I think it's something we all learn and it will come. Just at the moment, that's something we're struggling with. We have to learn to deal with.
Let's move on to number 3, and that is build-up struggles.
Yeah, and something in the preview I mentioned that Everton have the most tackles in the midfield third in the league. They got one of the highest tackles in the final third in the league as well, and we're one of the most tackled team in the league as well. In our defensive third, and that's exactly how it came to pass in this game. Everton made 6 tackles in our defensive third and made 11 tackles in our midfield third. Both of those are the second highest figures we've faced this season against the opposition. And I think it's an indication of how much we did struggle to build up from the back in our defence, and also when we did get to the ball into the midfield, how we really struggled to make it stick, get our passing game going. And Everton was just able to disrupt us time and time again, win the ball back in dangerous positions, obviously win set pieces, put us under pressure, and obviously ended up getting the point at the end of the day. And I think them being super aggressive, then getting those tackles in was what led to them getting the point. And I think we really did struggle in the build-up.
Yeah, and it's been a theme now for the last number of games. When you take the last 3 games, for example, you've got this game against Everton, the Brentford game, and the Man City game. The Man City game, we couldn't build up any sort of pressure or any sort of attacks. In the Brentford game, was fairly similar, apart from those first 10 minutes in the second half, which won us the game, where we just came out on fire. And then again, against Everton yesterday, where we just failed to being able to build up these kind of attacks and pressure. And I'm not sure what it's down to. I mean, Maddison obviously was a key part in that in the first 10 games of the season, where we were able to really build up attacks and sustain attacks for large parts of the game. But since Maddison's been out, it's been a struggle for us. Now he's coming back into the team. Hopefully it is going to improve. And I think it did slightly improve yesterday when he was on the ball. But the other midfielders aren't really reciprocating with Højbjerg and Bentancur. The wingers as well, not doing themselves any sort of favours in the build-up. So it's something that we need to really address, and something that Ange Postecoglou has alluded to in the past, where he said that our attacking phases of play aren't as fluid and not what he wants to see from a team. So maybe it's down to that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's, look, Basuma was so great at holding the ball and beating the press, Maddison early in the season. So maybe it's a personal issue. Maybe it's something that teams are starting to figure out, that when you press us really intensely, we do struggle with it. But on the flip side, it does seem in the second half, when they drop that press, we seem to gain control of the game. So it's a bit of a give and take. But definitely yesterday, I felt we struggled in that phase.
Let's move on to number 4. Now we're going to get onto something positive, because Richie is on fire.
Yeah, and that's now 9 goals in his last 8 games for Richarlison, which is absolutely incredible. 10 league goals this season as well. Really stepping up while Son is away at the Asia Cup. He's the one providing the goals. I think before December, he only had 1 league goal, and now he's on 10, which is absolutely incredible. I'm so happy he's on double figures as well. Overall, in terms of his overall game, he had 2 key passes as well, so he was able to kind of influence the game from a creative standpoint as well. And he's just in firing form, and he's taking a lot of stopping at the moment, Richarlison, the way he's playing. And it just seems like every game he's either getting in those right positions. But yesterday, I felt was the real first time we saw quality in those finishes as well. Like roof for the net, brilliant finish on the edge of the area as well. And maybe we're going to start to see more of those types of finishes from Richarlison moving forward, because he's got that confidence to try it now. Yeah,
I really hope so. And I'm really excited to see Richarlison on this form with Sonny coming back into the team as well. I think it's going to be a joy to behold. But 2024, the year of Richarlison, you know. Last season, he was the butt of everyone's jokes with more offside goals and more shirts off celebrations and actual goals. But this year, he is shutting up the haters one by one with the goals he's scoring, with the amount of goals he's scoring. And now he's showing the quality in the goals that he's scoring. So long may it continue for Richarlison. I think we particularly have been backing Richarlison since the beginning. And finally, we're getting a bit of vindication for it, aren't we?
Looks like it. A lot of people clown me because I keep saying I was backing Richarlison. I was a big advocate of his signing, and it was hard to defend him at times. But right now, he's proving everyone wrong, and I really hope he continues, because when he's in this kind of form, not only is he such a benefit with his goals, but what he gives you off the ball as well, that tireless running, that is a nuisance for opposition centre backs. He tackles them, he presses them relentlessly, and that is so valuable, especially in this kind of system.
Yeah, and like, his off-the-ball work has never been in question, really, since joining Spurs. Never been in question. I think he's always been good in that aspect of the game, and we always worried about what he can actually do on the ball and where are the goals coming from. And since that surgery, he's just a completely changed man, isn't he?
Yeah, completely
changed man.
One of the best players in the league in the last month or so.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 5, and that is Vicario targeted once again.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming a theme, and it's something definitely it's hard not to notice. Obviously, against Man City for the corner, which they scored from, something Vicario definitely struggled to deal with. People debated whether it was a foul or not, but seems as though at the moment, referees are having a period where it looks like they're looking to leave a lot of these play out, these goalkeeping challenges, and letting VAR decide. And VAR look at the moment are letting them letting them go. It seems as though at the moment, if there's not a clear challenge on the goalkeeper, it hurt us against Man City. Everton clearly looked at that and thought, that's something we've got to target. And time again, especially in that first half, they were targeting Vicario at these corners, putting those every single corner right under Vicario's crossbar, making him make a decision whether he's punching it, trying to get something on it. And unfortunately for us, it's where the first goal came from. He struggled to deal with, along with, he got a little touch on it, doesn't get enough on it, but Vicario struggled to deal with it, and Everton took advantage. And then another one a few minutes later, so close to making it 2-1 as well to Everton, but thankfully Vicario made a great save. I don't think there's something like endemic to Vicario himself. I don't think it's like he's bad at coming for crosses or things like that. I just think they're being very, very smart, and it's something we have to manage, and it's something that we have to see how we can kind of have a resolution to, because we can't allow Vicario to continually putting under this amount of pressure. I think we need to be getting players around him, because at the moment we're like allowing a player to stand on Vicario. We need to be getting one of our players in between the Vicario and the opposition player.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it is worrying, to be honest, because before a couple of weeks ago, we could have sat here and thought about all the flaws in Vicario's game, and we couldn't have picked out one, to be honest. And now in the last couple of games, people have started to cotton on to a few things, and they are targeting him seriously from set pieces, from corners. And after seeing that against Man City, I mean, in previous seasons gone by, if you back into a goalkeeper, that's usually a foul.
It depends. I don't know. It depends if you're making a challenge. If you're just standing your ground, you're just being strong and standing your ground.
I don't think he was like backing in until like he was really under pressure.
It's a tough one. If you do it cutely enough where it doesn't look like you're making a challenge, you might get away with it, and that's what's happening at the moment. They're being very, very clever, these players. Obviously, if you jump up and your arms on the keeper, that should be a foul. But if you're just standing your ground and kind of nudging him
Did you think it was a foul?
I don't think there was enough there for it to be a foul. I think if a referee blows up for a foul, I don't think VAR looks at that and overturns it and says that there's definitely no foul, because I think there's enough to suggest, he definitely impacted the keeper. But I think the ref gives the goal. I don't think there's enough evidence to overturn it. I really don't.
Fair enough.
I think it's just being clever.
I think it was more of a foul than the Man City one, in my opinion. But look, essentially, whether it's a foul or not, Vicario needs to be stronger. That's the takeaway from it.
And he was in the second half.
Yeah.
So credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's hope that. But the thing is, like, how do we stop this from happening, apart from, because those ones where he was stronger and he kind of leapt up and held the ball, it wasn't the same, because he wasn't getting crowded out at that point, and the corners weren't as as strong as in and by the goal line as they were in the first half. So how do we combat that from happening, what we saw in the first half?
I think we need to, one of our players has to take responsibility, get in between Vicario and the Everton player, make sure that he's not allowing them to do that. But then obviously it creates your own problems. Maybe they leave someone else free in the box potentially if you do that. But if you get a player in between them, make sure that you're being stronger and not allowing the Everton player to do that. I think that can go a long way to freeing up Vicario and allowing him to come and claim these crosses.
Yeah. All right, well, those are the 5 takeaways from the 2-2 draw at Goodison Park yesterday.